Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to take a look at Ence versus NaVi from Blast Pro. And Ence is going to win this one 16-4, and there's been a bit of debate, did NaVi underperform? Is that why they lost this game? Or no, other people are arguing, no, Ence did really well, they just outplayed them. So I want to look at what that would look like if Ence played really well, or if NaVi played really bad, and which one really did happen here. So usually it's a little bit of both, but we'll see what happens here. Now, first round, pistol round, and Navi's basically just going to get hard countered on this one. They've got a play from Sergey up top middle. I wouldn't be too surprised if this was some sort of counter strat, but it might just be, their play on this map and they just caught Navi in the counter because Zeus is going to be running through T-spawn with the bomb. He just gets taken down, and now they're going to have three players collapsing on these players at bottom middle, and as long as they land their shots, realistically, it's very hard for Navi to actually win this one, and, you have four players collapsed on middle here by the end of it. So, pistol round strats just work like that. Occasionally, you're going to get hard countered accidentally, and there's nothing you can do about it. Zeus, it's a weird pistol strat. I'm not sure why he was like A ramp and then ran back with 3 underpass. It's a little bit odd. However, pistol strats are pistol strats. They're pretty risky, pretty gambly, and you can't really blame anyone if it gets hard countered accidentally. So in the following round, they're actually going to go for the save. Just like a light pistol buy up here, hoping to get a bomb plant, I'm sure, and hoping to do some economic damage. And Ence actually has the SMGs, which, if Navi went for the force buy, these would be a little bit weak, the MP7 or the MP5 and the but they're not going to go for the force buy, so they should be pretty strong. But Sergey is going to be caught with a sick deagle shot there from Flamey. He was a little bit out in the open, kind of let himself get shot at there, but I mean, he should win that the vast majority of the time. You can't expect Flamey to 1-deagle you across the map that consistently. So now Navi's going to fall right back off of that, and you can see the shift come out here from Ence. They move their mid player off of middle. They're allowing Alexi B, their cat player, to hold middle, and they're just going back into a double A because they realize that, a semi-double A, Alu's supporting towards the A side, and he was completely off of middle for a minute there. But Navi is going to be moving through underpass actually, which is an interesting play. They're going to be trying to collapse on middle. If you watch a lot of Ence, you know that they like to pretty heavily hold on to middle. So collapsing on middle definitely makes sense as a strategic play heading back towards middle late round. It's something you see people do a lot on cash because teams tend to shift a little bit off middle later on in the round and focus on the bomb sites, especially when they lose players, and that's exactly what Ence has done here. So you're often going to find an opening, and a lot of the time you'll find, like what they had here, Alexa B was solo spotting middle. And by splitting through underpass and top middle, a lot of the time you can exploit someone that might be, for example, in connector, like Alu was a minute ago, and just kind of catch him off. And they're going to try and do that with the window play here. So they're going to double boost into window here with Electronic and someone else there. And they're going to try and split A through from window and cat. Or through from window and connector. So let's see if anything actually works here. Ariel's going to find the first info. Flamey, Flamey has to be expecting a rotate there. As soon as they get contact A with 20 seconds left, the rotate's probably going to come out from market. He might have been expecting that there was, they're playing a guy on cat. And if they're playing a guy on cat, that rotate might take a little bit longer, and they might be a little bit worried about that. But still, Flamey kind of got caught off guard by something that their strat is meant to deal with. But it's not going to punish them too hard. They're going to find the kill on Ariel and the kill on Alexa B there on the market rotate. They're going to end up with a 6 shot coming up from Simple in a 3v1. They know the player's on cat, free bomb plant. Really, this is a round they should, they are low on HP and they don't have armor. But in general, it should be very hard for X7 to win this one. They're in perfect positions to deal with it, and Simple's just going to find the kill. So it's not a gimme of a round with that situation, but it's a round they should be winning the majority of the time, and they closed it out. But you're going to see that there are some rounds that, they should be winning the vast majority of the time, and Navi do lose those, and that's exactly what you're looking for in a situation where a team is underperforming. They're losing rounds they should really never be losing. So we'll see here, you got Ence on the force buy up. They've all got pistols and body armor. I think this is kind of the optimal force buy up nowadays. People have a tendency to force buy up to 0. However, if you force buy up to 0 on a standard loss round, you're actually not going to be too comfortably up on full utility in the following round and ops and stuff. So I like the non-full force buy. You just force buy down to a few hundred so you can get a full buy on the following gun round when you do get there. So Ence does that, and they're just going to be going for a sort of a B stack. And this is the type of thing that you want to be dealing with an anti-eco. You sometimes have this suicide player who will kind of just run right out into a bomb site and check if it's stacked, and that's a player you'd have with an SMG. Now NaVi doesn't have a player with an SMG, so they want to be getting information in general. And really, if they've gotten no pushback anywhere, they really should be questioning it right about now. Why haven't we found any information? And you might be thinking that's probably why Electronic is kind of throwing the smoke, trying to get information towards B. But they're going to end up walking straight into a stack here. They probably could have gotten a bit more information. When you're walking up and you've got full mid control, you're not spotting anyone peeking from, tri-stack to B, and you're not seeing anyone peeking from bench. You're expecting a stack. A little bit more nade utility usage might have helped them out a little bit there. But yeah, you're expecting a stack, and they just walked kind of right into it. So, even if you walk right into a stack, you're probably winning the round the majority of the time, but they might have been able to deal with that a little bit better. And now they're going to be at a 2v1, and for some reason they're expecting him behind. Zeus is just going to give up the kill here. They're not going to... it's hard to force a double peek in that exact situation because they don't know where Sergey is. Theoretically, Sergey could have gone underpass and already been flanking apartments, so a lot of the time the first player ends up needing to die to get that type of information. But at the same time, losing the bomb there essentially loses the round immediately. There's no time left on the clock, and Electronic he's a one hit from a deagle, so that's probably why you're seeing he doesn't jump through the window here. But at the same time, he literally didn't have time to plant the bomb. So on one hand, jumping through the window was potentially suicide, especially if Sergey wasn't at 16 health. Jumping through that window, you're almost insured to have one deagle shot hit on you as you're jumping through. Most likely Sergey would have won that, but at the same time, if you don't have time to plant the bomb, that's the only way you're winning the round anyways. So but a missed time happens there. I think he would have had time, actually, if he had just planted the bomb immediately. But if he planted the bomb immediately, it would have been in the middle of the open. So a 2v1 there that they could have won. But that type of 2v1 is always misleading to some extent because Alexa B was in a good position. And NaVi was really gambling there. They had no idea where he was. They didn't really know where he could be. Because it was a B stack, they're thinking he might be flanking Cat. But at the same time, you should probably be a little bit more worried about market than they were, and Zeus just kind of peeked it and died, and just kind of lost the round immediately off of his death there with the bomb. In any case, now they're going to be heading towards A. You've got NaVi doing Ence doing a very interesting strat here. They've got double up and ladder, and this is the type of kind of play Ence likes to do. They have these unique setups that are pretty strong, and what they were doing this round is they were doubled up in ladder, plus they had Alexa B here, or Ariel, sorry, and he was posted on top connector. So they were completely giving up mid. I mean, other than having the players in ladder. They weren't really contesting mid hard. They were just playing for kind of retakes. So... and you'll notice here that NaVi did go for the force buy up. They full force down, and that's because Ence won that round with only one player alive. That means they're on a full buy up down to 0, and it's not a comfortable buy. You can see the utility here. So that's the reason Ence or NaVi went for the buy. They're trying to make sure that Ence's economy doesn't get up, and they can definitely find a win here with these 3 AKs if they can find advantageous engagements. And they've put themselves in good positions. They've managed to make their way out A. They isolated and know that Sergey is in CT spawn, so they know that he's in a spot. And when you play a guy's CT spawn, a lot of the time it means that you're soloing A, and that's why NaVi managed to walk their way directly out A and get into this advanced position. And this is exactly what you want with AKs. You got the AKs in great spots to be able to find entries. It would might prefer it if Electronic or Simple was the player getting the straight up engagements here in jungle, but it's going to be Zeus with the AK, Flamey with the Deeg, and Electronic's going to be a little bit further back with the AK. But obviously it's risky getting to the advanced spot that Zeus is in, so I guess they didn't want to do that with someone else. But in any case, they're in a pretty good spot to be able to find kills. They're going to get the engagement, going to be able to find the first one. And what you saw there towards CT, Simple just peeked out from Palace and ended up losing the gunfight with Sergey. It's definitely an engagement that Sergey should be winning the majority of the time with an AUG at that type of long range, but Simple is Simple, and if he feels like he's going to win that, you can't really fault Simple for doing simple things. He probably does win that the majority of the time. So now you've got a 4v4 retake, and this is the type of round that you really shouldn't, like, you should be pretty unhappy to see NaVi losing. While they do, they have Edward pick up an AK, but he picks it up as he dies. However, they're in a 4v4, bomb planted. They've got 2 AKs, and they've got very advanced positions. And the bomb is planted in the open. So even though, it is A site, which is the easier to retake site, A site is easy to retake only if you control jungle and you control CT spawn. If you don't control both of those areas as a CT, it gets exponentially harder to retake, especially when your utility is low. Like Ence here, they have a smoke, a nade, and a flash. That's all they've got. So with low utility, it becomes harder and harder to actually make this type of round work. And you're going to see exactly, how that works. But this is a round where a good portion of the time you should expect NaVi should probably be winning this, given that they have jungle control. Even with the pistols, they have armor. It would have been a lot better if Edward hadn't just ran out and died there, kind of suiciding for the AK. And that's going to make this very hard, because Flamey's going to get a little bit more aggressive trying to find something, given that they're down a man. He's trying to clear out window and then focus on connector. Cannot blame him for that. But if they hadn't been down a man there, he might have played it a little bit more passively, and things might have gone a little bit better. So definitely around that NaVi, they should be winning it a good portion of the time. Not every time, of course. It's A on Mirage. It's an easier site to retake, but with jungle control, I think Edward was near Flamey when he found that kill. He potentially could have gone somewhere like jungle, or somewhere like, top connector, bottom stairs, and they would have had a more comprehensive hold, but instead he kind of went for that AK, ended up dying, and on that death they got put in a situation where they should be losing the round the majority of the time. So now you've got pistols out on NaVi here, and you've got an aggressive play in mid. This is something Ence likes to run a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of running it against ecos, but pro teams can do whatever they want. They're going to find the engagements, and it's a smart strat from NaVi. They're trying to execute on the players that are in kind of awkward situations, and they actually do find 3 kills on the round here. So you can't, or 2 kills on the round. I thought they found a third there. But in any case, they find a few kills. They've got mid control. They were kind of against a setup that's hard to deal with. If they landed their shots a little bit better, if they found the first kill onto the player in middle there, that makes that a very good situation, because they can isolate the player connector. The guy connector has to fall back. Probably you're sitting in a 5v4, and you're comfortable about your situation if you're sitting in a 5v4 as NaVi with that setup. It's not the best situation ever because you still have pistols, but it's a good situation to get yourself into. So strategically, they could have gotten into a good situation, just weren't able to land the shots, and can't really blame them for that, as nobody really hard whiffed. So now you've got Ence going for essentially the same exact thing, and NaVi's not really going for mid control. They're going to be running. I thought Zeus was going to go through underpass there, but really NaVi knows that they're going for mid control here. You can see it based on that, I don't know what people call it, but I'll call it the Astralis smoke top middle. I think that's what most people call it, or that's what I've heard it called. So they know that Ence is most likely going for some sort of mid control, and Simple's going to walk up here and post on stairs. This is the spot that you're very likely to see someone pick if Ence is going for mid control. He wants to support his teammate to make sure that his teammate's not just getting swung on from Palace. And, if they have no pressure in middle, then this guy is free to go back and take that peek. So Simple's holding an angle where he could, it's a smart angle to try and find a kill, but he's single scoped, which means when Alu jumps up there, he hits a hard shot to hit and Simple misses it. Probably a shot Simple hits the majority of the time. And if he hits that shot, this execute probably comes out fairly shortly after that onto a solo A player. Their mid control is affected, and potentially Simple walks out Palace and finds a kill on the CT player as well. So that's that round, that death there from Simple is definitely round changing. And if you look at the money this round, it's could also be half changing. You know, you got your buy round up. It's kind of one of your first real buy rounds. Your opponents are low on economy. He finds that kill. They could win the round, and they could just, you know, it could be a different look for the game. But in any case, he dies there. Flamey gets spotted out, which draws a slight rotate. And Navi's going to want to go back into something else. And looks like what they want to go back to is a mid take, which is the same thing you saw them do on second round, I believe, where they went 3 through underpass and 2 top middle in the 5v4 with pistols. This time they're going to do it with rifles. And the same aspect or the same concept applies. As you get later into the round, teams are more and more likely to give up middle because, as you can see, X7 is kind of exploitable here towards B. If Navi had, instead of going towards middle, they just walked out B with all 4 players, you would see Ence probably lose the round. I mean, X7 is in an okay spot, but if they trade out on him, the round should essentially be over at that point. 3v4 on B. I guess, you know, it's not definitely over, but you have a very good chance of winning. So X7 is kind of in an exploitable spot because they are doubling up middle in this situation. And earlier on in the round, X7 would have utility to work with, whereas now he has no utility to work with to deal with that. So, there's a reason that they're going back towards middle. It makes sense. But the setup that Ence is in here, they're just getting picked apart, and the timing they have is just not really working. Electronic was so far behind Edward there. There was that you might notice a lot in this game. Their spacing is definitely off. You're going to notice it a little bit. I should highlight it in a later round. But Electronic was a ways behind Edward, so the cat player there had plenty of time to get the first kill, reset, and then find the second. And the player underpass came out long before the players came out top middle, and that might be by design. He might be trying to come out middle to prevent an opper in connector looking towards top middle from just killing a player and getting away. Which makes sense, but at the same time, by dying in bottom middle there, they've essentially kind of already lost the round, because once that happens, the trade's not really coming out, and the players top middle were so too spread out to find trades on each other, and they just get completely shut down there. So you would call that NaVi not playing too well. Simple, uncharacteristic. He's 3 and 5. Is set up for a kill that he could get and then doesn't find it, and then they go back into something else and don't find it either. And this round I've just glossed over. Flamey and Simple both find headshots onto their respective players. It's going to be one on balcony and one in CT. Flamey's shot was pretty solid on the player's CT. Now you're going to be in a 3v5, and Ariel's going to try and quickly even it back up. He's going to be able to find the first kill, and he's going to look for more. Zeus just jumps across alone, and now all of a sudden you're back in a situation that's Ence favored. So smart play there from Ariel. When you go down, you want to try and go back up as fast as physically possible. Catch the players before they have time to set up. So he caught the players while they were still transitioning to try and get into the bomb site. He didn't give them time to get comfortable and to play out that 5v3. But at the same time, you know, you have to expect that NaVi wins 5v3s the majority of the time. And, you know, they probably don't lose it in quite the same fashion every time. Zeus kind of jumping across stairs there, trying to find the trade. Zeus jumping across stairs there, trying to find the trade when they were still up a man. Didn't necessarily need to do that. Puts them in a 3v3 instead of a 4v3, and you know, probably a losing situation. But in any case, another ridiculous deagle shot, this time from Simple, in the same spot that Flamey found his deagle shot. And you're going to be looking at a 2v2 here. And what's going to happen is Edward's going to walk right past Alexa B, I think, doesn't he? Oh, okay, that's a different round. My bad. Edward's going to be able to find the kill. Now you've got X7 in a 1v2, and this is essentially a 1 round. They really should not be losing this round. And I can't quite remember if they do lose this round, but X7 did just spot Edward, so if he finds the kill on Simple, this is actually a very winnable round, but Simple really shouldn't be giving him an angle to find him. Going to come up behind him and just find the kill. So If they lost that round, you would be able to pinpoint that on underperforming. But in any case, 3v or 5v3 shouldn't be that hard to win. They do have pistols against rifles, but still a 5v3 is a one round the majority of the time. And if they had played it a little bit slower, if they hadn't been caught out by the rotate from connector, which they generally should expect, things go a lot better. And now NaVi has been kind of shut down in middle. To some extent, NaVi hasn't really found any success in middle. And they're going to do what they often do when they don't find success in middle, is they're going to head towards B. Which is what a lot of teams do. And they're going to run into the boost from Alexa B. So there's a little bit of unlucko going on in this game. When you run into that type of thing, not much you can really do. You run into a setup that just kind of counters yours. But in any case, they walk out B. The flash probably should have landed a little bit earlier to blind that player, because the flash landed after he found the first kill. And optimally, you want the flash to land before he finds the first kill, so he doesn't find the first kill. But in any case, they ran into a certain setup. They ended up getting punished by the setup, and this happens quite a few times in this half, that they kind of walk into setups that just deal really well with the setup, or the straggler they're going for. So here now you've got NaVi on a semi-save. They've got a few pistols and a couple AKs, and Ariel's going to be in connector here, and he's thrown his own smoke. This is a one-way, and you can see that Simple knows this is a one-way. He's not trying to peek out on it. He's just trying to pre-fire it a little bit and prevent anything from happening. And then the re-smoke's going to come out, and they're going to get punished by it. Both players are going to get punished by it. Zeus comes out. He knows this is like the most common one-way smoke in the entire game. He probably should be doing what Simple did, pre-firing it a little bit and making sure nobody's there before he commits to walking out, but he's going to walk out and just die. And then Simple is just, I think he just back turned, just straight up die. Yeah, he walks straight into Ariel there. Not sure what he was thinking there. I guess he assumed that Ariel probably fell off, which isn't a terrible assumption, but still you have to be worried about it at least a little bit. And he ends up getting punished for it. So now you've got a 3v4. And a flash out mid for the retakes, just going to win them the round there. So the round's essentially over. Again, some kind of uncharacteristic plays there. You don't really expect Zeus to die to something that's, incredibly common, and then Simple to die to it right afterwards. Even though there is reasoning to believe that he wouldn't stay in the same spot, especially against an eco. It's a close range angle, and they know he's there. So if someone had come up Cat, potentially could have just isolated him in that angle. But still, got to be a little bit worried about it. Now you've got a B take again here from NaVi, completely giving up towards A. And, I mean, NaVi does know that Ence has played light towards A every round. So it's surprising how heavily they're going towards B. Sergey has pretty much universally been soloing A. I think the entire half he's been soloing A, and I guess they're feeling like eventually Ence is going to go for a heavy mid play again, in which case their B player will be alone. But unfortunately for them, they're not going for a heavy mid play because NaVi hasn't been heavily pressuring middle recently. So if they're not heavily pressuring middle, there's no reason to counter light pressure with heavy pressure yourself. They can take, they can hold mid control for free. And if Navi's not going to make them, second guess it, why? And what's going to happen here is Navi's just not going to blind X7. And this is just straight up misplay. If you don't have a flash that blinds that angle, which probably you should, you need to be ready to deal with that angle by having your guns out. I believe both players were completely unaware of the first two. Just got shut down by X7, and that's, textbook underperforming, textbook playing badly. It's not an uncommon angle. It's not the most common angle ever, but if your flashes aren't going to blind the angle there, you gotta have your guns out and ready to deal with it. It is a spot where you can realistically find a trade. It's not the biggest advantage of all time for a CT in that angle. And he should not be finding 3 kills just holding down the same exact spot. Obviously, he has an AUG, which helps with that a little bit. Again, they should have a flash for that. I mean, optimally, they have a flash for that, and they never have to find the straight-up gunfight. But if they do, you should be able to find the trade. So here, actually, I kind of fast-forwarded through a round where Edwards now left in a 1v2. And he plays it very well. He notices Alexa be on the flank at the exact right moment. Not going to be able to find it. Sorry for fast forwarding that one. But anyways, now you go back into another gun round. Again, Ence is going to be going for the Astralis mid play, mid smoke, and they're going to be going for fast mid control with 3 players. And this is what NaVi was probably hoping to find Ence doing in the previous round. However, Ence, this is kind of just a strat caller thing. Like, maybe NaVi's just getting out strat called. I mean, and NaVi hadn't gone for hard mid control in a while. The only success they had found was outside of middle. They'd gotten kind of shut down when they went middle. So Ence was playing, heavily, more heavily towards B side. Because a lot of teams do like to try and exploit B when they're having trouble towards middle. B is a spot that you can often exploit, especially when your opponents on CT side are going aggressive towards middle. Their B is often weak, but Ence, answered that by going a little bit heavier towards B because they assumed or they guessed that NaVi, probably wasn't going heavy middle because they've been shut down there. And now that NaVi's been shut down twice towards B, they want to go back towards middle, and Ence is going to shut that down by going heavy towards middle. So NaVi just getting countered hard here. And their whole strat just kind of got shut down on that one. The Astralis smoke came out, the Molly came out, and now they're going to be trying to split through top middle afterwards, and it's going to be against 3. And this is the round where I mentioned that I was going to highlight. They're spread out. No flash to take down Alu in the most common angle, really. Maybe not the most common angle ever, but if you remember back to round number 3, I believe it was, where I said 3 or 4, where Simple was Palace posted on connector, and I said he was posted on connector because oftentimes when teams go for hard middle control, they're going to have a player in connector, and when that player connector notices that nobody's middle, he's oftentimes going to head right back and check towards Palace because he wants to support his A player. So that's why Simple was holding that angle the previous round, and now Alu is in the same spot as he was before, this time with an op, and they don't throw anything to deal with him, so he finds the free kill. Now you might be thinking, NaVi has these 2 players coming underpass to deal with that player. Probably they're hoping that if there's a player connector, the 2 players underpass will hopefully be able to trade on that player on connector. But if Ence is going for this type of mid control where they have a player connector like that and they have the player pushed up top middle and the player on cat, which is what they almost always do when they take towards middle, as soon as that top mid player goes down, Alexa B should be able to get the second kill there on a Simple, which he does. Alexa B's not flashed either. I think they delayed a little bit after their flash. They weren't fast enough on that run out because I think they threw a flash, then Alu got the kill, and before Simple was out, Alexa B was no longer blind. So I think that's a little bit of timing there. And what you didn't catch was Alu turned around after finding the first kill on top middle, swung around and peeked out towards underpass. He had plenty of time to get away there, so the underpass split to try and deal with the connector player didn't exactly work out, if that was the plan. And no flash to deal with that or deal with the cat player either. Even though they did throw a flash, I have no idea where it landed. It's just ineffective, and that's the type of, if you're looking for underperforming, and that's not underperforming, that's just bad. Really can't be having that happen. And so Ence is up 10-2 now, and like I said, you can point out that Ence has played strategically pretty well. I feel like they've definitely, to some extent out-strat called NaVi, and they've put themselves in good positions to win, but at the same time, you're not expecting Simple on 6 kills in a normal game. This is not Simple's regular performance level. I don't think NaVi gets out-strat called so hard very often. And they're losing some rounds they should be winning, and they're putting themselves in bad situations that they shouldn't be putting themselves in as well. So now they're finally going to try and exploit the player towards A. They recognize that Sergey really likes to play there, and you've seen a couple of rounds, I'm guessing it's counter-stratting, because Sergey plays there so often, they're just walking out A ramp, not worried about an opper at all, not worried about anything, with 2 players this time, just trying to find the kill, and they find a shit ton of damage onto Sergey. But, and I didn't highlight this even though I meant to, Zeus was walking solo through underpass, completely solo through underpass, and just gets executed there. Now, Zeus might be thinking that when Ence does play towards middle, they don't usually have a player peeking towards underpass. But in any case, it is Zeus walking alone. Probably not the player you want to be, want to be caught out. And Edward's going to be the player towards top middle. Now Zeus died, and Edward is basically impotent here. There's nothing he can really do in this situation. And now you're going to have 3 players trying to take A. And 4 is enough to take a bomb site the majority of the time, and you have 1 lurker. 3 is generally not, but you can't expect Edward to make his way back around. So without any connector presence, this is a very hard round for them to win. Oh, I thought they were actually going to walk right out A. They're not. Flame is just going to get killed by Alu. And then Simple's going to go for the trade. Can't necessarily blame that one on Flamey too much. He probably should have been scoped in. I think he had an AUG there, didn't he? Did he have an AUG? Yeah, he had an AUG holding this angle. I mean, you should probably be scoped in that situation. Simple would have caught if they peeked out close. Because if he's scoped in there, he kills Alu the majority of the time. As much as you can't necessarily blame him from dying there, he got peeked by an AWP. The AWP hit a fairly solid shot. At the same time, you got to expect a little bit more from professional players. If you're holding an angle, you should be able to find the kill on the player when he peeks the angle that you're holding, especially if you have a Krieg. I think I might have called it an AUG. If you have a Krieg, you should be winning that engagement. But he dies, and then Simple tries to force out himself, try and make it even. Obviously, nothing wrong with that, but he doesn't find success, and potentially, Simple maybe finds the kill there on a different day, because he did have the angle to find the kill. There was 2 people there, so he was dying either way, but still he had the angle to find a shot on the first player. He potentially finds a kill there on a different day, in a different on a different round. He probably finds a kill there. So now heading into round number 14, and you're gonna have NaVi. Is this the round they do it? Yeah, this is the round they decide, fuck it, we're taking middle. And they're going out mid with 5 players, all 5. And they find the kill. They actually find the opening kill there onto Ariel going for the mid push. Works out perfectly. They're going to flash and try and peek towards bottom middle there. And the timing was off. I wish you could see that. Actually, I'll go back and show you that. This is the type of thing. It's not the biggest misplay in the world. It's not like they're a terrible team, but if I'll put it in my words, this is the type of misplay that you expect from a team that's playing bad but isn't bad. Maybe they're jet lagged or something. Maybe they're tired. Who knows? But anyways, they're gonna head out middle here, find the kill. Now Simple's gonna flash Flamey into connector, but Flamey is nowhere near connector when he throws that flash. So he doesn't get the quick peek. He doesn't find, if someone was in connector, they very reasonably could have fallen off in that situation, could have fallen back. So Flamey was just a little bit further back than you want him to be when you throw that type of flash. And I mean, it's not the biggest problem ever, but it's just, I think it's kind of a good example of the situation that's going on. They're a little bit too spread out. Their flashes are a little bit, earlier, or their players are a little bit behind where they might normally be. Maybe they're playing a bit slower than they usually are. And it's leaving openings that they're getting exploited on. So now they're 5v4. And this is actually not the greatest situation for them. Like, it might seem pretty good, but 4v4, 4v3. This is the situation I was thinking of. This is actually not that great of a situation for them. 5v4 was a bit better. 5v4 was a bit better, but 4v3, this is actually a pretty bad situation for them. And when you first think about it, 4v3, if you were watching the scoreboard, 4v3, Ence should lose this, theoretically. But this is, I would honestly put this as an Ence favored round right now, because Ence has 2 players with full health. One of them's injured, but 3 of 4 are very hurt on NaVi. And they have no utility and no map control, which means they're forced to do something, they're kind of forced into bad situations. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, right, well, they do have no map control, but that doesn't matter because Ence is not utilizing their map control because they don't know they have it. They haven't pushed up B or anything. But when you don't have map control, you're forced into situations that you have to play out in a certain way because you don't have that map control. They don't really have the luxury of going back A unless they want to spend 40 seconds clearing it out. So they're more likely to go into this type of play, walking up cat and having one player go back. Electronic is going back just to check if someone's in apartments. If he dies, they're fine with that, because if he dies and recognizes that someone's in apartments, they can deal with that and they can play out the 3v3, because it's unlikely that there's more than one player B. So they're going up cat and they're basically hoping Electronic gets information, and he spots the guy. This is like best case scenario. They're going up cat and Electronic spots their B player. So, in theory, Alexa B, if it was one of the 100 health players, this would still be not the greatest situation ever for NaVi, because he could just duel Electronic. He would win the duel the vast majority of the time if Electronic went for a straight up duel there. And it would be a really good situation for NaVi, or for Ence. Or it wouldn't be as bad of a situation for Ence. But with Alex B on 18 health and they're hitting towards B, this is, best case scenario for NaVi. But Zeus is going to walk right into Alu. He's going to get spotted out, and then they're going to try and trade Edward with the nade out. They're going to get killed. So you can't really put that one too much on NaVi. Potentially Zeus could have been clearing that angle a little bit better, but at the same time, this is not a setup you see anyone play. You don't see this type of setup. You don't see a player window with a minute left in a 3v4 with an op looking towards cat. You don't see Sergey bottom stairs. They are fully stacked on the A. They're going B, and they're retaking if they go A, and they're retaking with low utility. It's going to be a tough retake. But they're banking on the fact that if they do go A, they're going to throw some utility. Sergey's going to call that, and he's going to have, an angle to shoot down through. And Alu's going to be able to peek out from window towards, he's going to be peeking out from jungle towards A, and hopefully he'll be able to find a kill too. So it's an interesting setup. I like it from Ence, but it's not something you see people do, and thereby you can't necessarily blame too heavily Zeus for dying there, and then Edward for dying as well. However, sending 5 players towards middle at the beginning of the round might be kind of setting yourself up for failure to begin with, because if you trade out in a normal situation, which is exactly what happened, they don't have utility, they don't have anything to work with to actually make something happen, and they have no map control, and easily could have pushed up A or B. They can be in all sorts of weird spots, and it kind of pigeonholed them into heading up cat with no utility. Like, that's the most important thing there. If they have utility and they drop a smoke on cat and just run up cat, that round is completely different. But because they had no utility to work with, no map control, and they were hurt, it's a very uncomfortable situation. It's going to end up putting themselves in a honestly unwinnable scenario, or what should be unwinnable. But Sergey's going to end up dying in window there. And this is a situation where Simple's going to go for the YOLO plant, and you can't blame him for this. You can't clear every angle in B. Alexa B is sitting here behind the wall. He's going to find the kill. Round's instantly over. Can't blame Simple for that one. He can't clear the whole bomb site with 10 seconds. He's hoping that Alexa B is pushed up in apartments, or he's, playing couch or something and not able to stop that bomb plan, or maybe he's in market. Maybe, I'm not sure if his teammate was close enough to market to clear it, but he's hoping that he can get the bomb plant. You can't blame him for that hope. But I think the round was kind of set up for failure. It almost feels like. I don't think you really need 5 players to run out top middle ever, and it kind of put them in a weird spot, especially with low utility. So now Ence is going to be going for their typical, or their classic, double peek towards A ramp, but Edward, I believe, spotted them out. Someone quick peeked and spotted them out. So NaVi now knows that Ence is going for a double A ramp play with rifles. They know that, which means they're going to kill both players for free. And, this should be a free round win. There's the first kill, there's the second kill. Ariel does find a kill, but 1 kill is not enough. However, Alu's just going to come out. I believe he finds a kill here. He doesn't find a kill here. Okay, I was wrong. Anyways, they find the execute, and they're just going to get shut down in jungle there. All right. So, Ence should really never win that round. As soon as NaVi knows they're doubling ramp and Ence makes the decision not to fall back because they don't know that NaVi knows that they're doubling ramp, the round should be over. And once they get the double kill there, the round is definitely over. But they throw a kind of weird A take to do in this type of situation. I feel like when you know they're doubling ramp, I'm not a super huge fan of this A take, and then they try and push for jungle control in the 4v3. Actually, that was 3v2. No, it was 4v3. They pushed for jungle control, got killed by Alu, didn't find the trade, and then Simple was in the open, trying to find the last player and ends up dying. And then Zeus throws his gun away and picks up another one. But Zeus is going to find the win, but very sloppy is an understatement on how they won that round, especially given the fact that, you know, they were aware of the situation at the beginning. Obviously, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't assume that Ence is going to be holding a ramp when you go for the flash peek a few seconds later. But you have a reasonable idea to expect it. And that's another round that I feel like NaVi should be winning the majority of the time, but they lost. So now Ence is going to go for, it's just a straight up fast A play. And they're going to find the kill on a Simple re-peeking out. Again, just simple things. I mean, probably shouldn't be re-peeking into 4 players posted right on you, even long range, even with the USP. But if Simple thinks that he can win that engagement and find a kill a majority of the time, he's so fucking good. You can't tell him otherwise. In any case, though, Electronic's going to try and recontest from jungle, and this is a pistol round like all pistol rounds. If you get hard countered, you get hard countered. And I don't think they got necessarily hard countered, but if they lose this engagement here, if Alu manages to stay alive, the round should essentially be over. And I don't think any of those players individually missed any shots or anything. You should hope that they find that kill, you know, a good portion of the time. And on another day, I would say they would find that kill. You know, they might find that kill. They had an opportunity to kill him. Nobody hard whiffed, but nobody hit nice shots. And at this level, that's the type of thing that loses you games. You know, that is underperforming. So you might be looking for a round where someone from NaVi just straight up whiffs. And, you know, or multiple rounds where NaVi straight up whiffs 4 or 5 shots and they just, you know, what the fuck, that was a terrible play. But at this level, just not hitting a shot that you could have hit, even if it was a fairly nice shot to have hit, is underperforming, especially from a player like Simple with that op shot he missed, and a few of the other plays where, you know, probably on a different day he wins those. In any case, it's now up 13-3. Just going to play out a standard anti-eco. They've got mid control here. NaVi, they are trying to contest on Cat, and they have a reasonable situation, but not going to be able to find too much out of it. Just not a lot of utility use there that actually worked out. They flashed to try and help out and make something happen, but their flashes didn't really get anybody blind. And now you're in a 2v3 for NaVi, but it's not really a 2v3. You're winning the majority of the time. However, actually, I take that back because Edward is in a great spot to find the kill here onto Alu. So if he finds a shot, there he does. Probably could have found it before taking more damage. And now Zeus is going to run out and die. That's another round they should be... I don't want to say they should be winning, but you can put that in the bad play category. Zeus peeked out from Cat and took an engagement long range against pistols when his teammate had just killed a rifler in connector, and by killing that rifler in connector, Edward secured an AK, which means he could have just, you know, delayed, maybe taken shots and not committed to it, but Zeus hard committed to that engagement before allowing Edward time to pick up the AK that would have potentially allowed them to win that gunfight and get a kill. So let's call it questionable gameplay. That ends up with Zeus dying. And, you know, are they winning that one the majority of the time? You know, probably not winning that one the majority of the time. But at the same time, they could have put themselves in a better position to potentially find it by allowing Edward to pick up the fucking AK that they just just killed the player that had the AK, could have picked it up. I'll give the benefit of the doubt in theory that Zeus might have thought that the AK died further up connector. And if the AK died further up connector, then Edward actually cannot secure that AK without being visible to those players there, which means that Zeus might be hard contesting either. It might be Edward's fault that Zeus is hard contesting and Edward's thinking that, thinking that Edward is going for the gun. So Zeus is trying to keep them there. Edward picks up the gun and Edward immediately starts shooting and, potentially wins. And if Edward had gone straight for that gun, that's probably actually exactly what happened. But that type of miscommunication, potentially Zeus contesting and Edward going straight for the gun, they would probably be a good play. I'm not sure the exact timing. Probably it's a good play. Or Zeus kind of fake peeking, not hard contesting, Edward reloading, and then going for the gun. Probably also a good play. Probably also not too much wrong with that. But Zeus hard contesting and Edward waiting ends with a round like that, which is just complete, discoordination. And that's the type of thing you've seen from NaVi a lot. A lot of the time, the things I'm pointing out as misplays, are misplays because they're not coordinated. A lot of the time they're not misplays because, it's necessarily the worst possible play, but because their teammates aren't doing things that would make it a good play. Happens a lot. In any case, now you've got a 5v5. You've got a buy round here from NaVi, a force round. And they're just going for some aggressive play towards B apps. Flamey's looking for information with the scout, didn't spawn anybody. Zeus is going to go fully aggressive and try and spray down X7. The MP9, he's going to get punished for that one. Potentially in that situation, he could be quick peeking, but not trying to nitpick too hard here. So now NaVi has B apps control, and Ence knows that with that B apps control, there's 2 players committed there, and because Zeus just got lit the fuck up, there's a very good chance they have a 3rd player there, which means Ence is just going to go straight back towards A. And this is the type of thing you want to see. Either you delay and then maybe go back towards B, or you go quickly towards the other side of the map once they're stacked there, and you try and beat the rotate. And that's what they're trying to do here. They're trying to beat the rotate. They're trying to make it there quickly. Edward's in a great spot, though, and he's going to be able to find a kill, which is going to make it a good situation to some extent for NaVi. However, he gets traded out, and once he gets traded out, that's should probably be Q for them to quickly push towards A, because if players that pushed up, by being that pushed up, it means they're probably heavily rotated off to the other side, because why would you have a guy pushed outside of ramp with that much information that Ence is not going A and also stack A? It doesn't make a lot of sense. You're probably going to see them quickly try and execute up into A and beat the rotate, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to beat the rotate. They're going to kill Simple playing an angle, just looking the wrong direction. I think they're at the wrong time. Unfortunate there for him. If he's looking Palace, I don't think he's having the hottest game of all time, but on another day, if he's looking Palace, he could find that kill and he could win them the round by finding that kill, because if he finds that kill and he stays alive, the rotate comes in time, and because the rotate comes in time, because they can't force on a player that's, still alive. If he's dead, they can just take the bomb site for free, but if he's still alive, they have to waste time dealing with them. The rotate comes in time. He might get a second kill, and the rotate might find some kills as well. But unfortunately, he's looking the wrong way. I don't think he was blind there. I think he was just looking the wrong way. Ends up with him dying, and Ence picking up the round. So 15-3. And now you've got a welfare buyout from NaVi. They've got a CZ, they've got an auto shotgun, an MP9, Simple with the M4, and Flamey with the FAMAS. So we'll see what they do here. They're going to head towards A. Edward's going to be on ramp. He makes I think that's a fail mouse wheel jump, and that might have saved his life there, because if he didn't fall off, well, it just didn't save his life for very long. But if he didn't fall off there, he was probably instantly dead. So that's A site control, essentially instantly going the way of Ence. Should not be losing this round. You should not be getting retaked on. No kit. They only have 1 smoke. None of them have good guns. And the problem with shotguns is that they're actually really fucking strong, but you cannot rotate with these things. You can't rotate with the shotgun. It has no range. So in the situation Zeus was in, it was great. Like on Inferno at Banana, Mag 7, fuck yeah. But On the rotate, it's terrible, terrible, terrible. However, Ariel's just getting way, way aggressive in a 5v4. They have the gun advantage. They have the bomb planted. 4 ramp. You should not... Oh, okay, there's the bomb planted, but the bomb is planted. There's no reason for him to really push CT in that situation. X7 pushes the jungle smoke, getting overconfident. That's the only way you can describe this. Now, Alexa being going aggressive here makes a lot more sense. They're down a man. He wants to even it up. He wants to give him a chance to win, hold the jungle control. Makes perfect sense. The first 2 people pushing made a little bit less sense. And Ali's just going to get traded out there. So good play there from NaVi with the trade. You know, earlier on in the game, they might have been a little bit more spread out and not able to find the quick trade, but there they found the trade, and now you've got NaVi on another uncomfortable buyout. As is the nature of, you know, the situation now. Well, I guess it's always been like that, but as is the nature of winning close rounds, they're going to have a very uncomfortable buyout on the following. And in fact, Ence has a better buy than NaVi does, even though Ence lost the round. So now you've got X7 just walks up in a connector, and Simple is not aware that that was a possibility. I guess he just didn't expect the speed at which X7 made his way down towards connector. He's going to be able to find the kill anyways. X7 does whiff there, but probably shouldn't be peeking out with your back turned to connector. Might be a miscommunication, or, you know, maybe he just kind of overstepped what he was meaning to peek, whatever. But in any case, they're going to be 4v5 now. Pretty good situation for Ence to win, especially because Zeus is pushed up. In apartments here, Flamey's here supporting, and see what happens in this round. Ence they are 4v5. They have plenty of utility. So, you know, I mentioned the 4v3 that NaVi had, where they were probably should be losing. You know, Ence has a ton of utility here, but NaVi has a reasonable amount of utility as well. So it's not like Ence has a huge advantage based off utility, but they have a lot of utility for this late into the round. You don't usually expect this type of play. 4 smokes, 3 mollies left with 30 seconds left. You know, it's pretty high. In any case, they've got pretty good control of the map, in fact, as well. They know Cat's clear. They know connector's clear. They've got a lurker connector. But the problem with this type of situation is, even though you have, you know, a great split, when this type of split comes down, you have to be able to find the first kill, or your whole split falls apart, because all your players are 1-1-1-1. And that's the trouble with this type of split. So they need to find the first kill here. You know, they generally need to find the first kill in this situation. So Ali's going to be able to find the first kill on the B player. That doesn't cause a rotate, because they've already made contact towards CT, which means Simple's not tempted to rotate towards market. In fact, Zeus is already pushing up because there's 15 seconds. They know they have to be going A. Simple does get smoked off here, so if these CT players die, it's a very uncomfortable situation. And they're going to push right in. Edward's going to get killed, so now they're in a 4v3 advantage. Again, getting that first kill helped quite a bit, but Simple just got smoked off, and then they forced in, you know, Edward forced in without support, really, and there was no flash for him, and he wasn't able to find the kill. So now you end up with a 3v3. As Simple found a kill on Alexa B. But no kits to work with. They have a smoke, which is big. Especially on A retakes, having one smoke is really, really big to be able to smoke off the bomb and just feign the idea that you could be on the bomb at any moment. Make them peek out, make them clear it, make them be worried about it. Unfortunately for Simple, he gets shot in the back from Alu. And that should kind of seal the round off. They really should never be winning this round, and in reality, because I already know the score was 16-4, I know that they don't win this round. But now you got a 2v2. Sergey does give him an ability to win the round. That's honestly an unnecessary peek, but he finds the kill, and the round's over now. Not able to defuse the bomb. That's going to be the game. So did Ence just play very well, or did NaVi misplay? I'm gonna say NaVi played pretty bad. There was a lot of plays that they should have been winning, where they lost. There was a lot of plays where they were just a little bit too far apart, a little bit too split up, not on the same page. And I think Ence strategically definitely outplayed them. And I think I've seen this before. I think Ence strategically does very well against NaVi. I think they outplay Zeus. They outstrat call Zeus a good portion of the time. But I think NaVi, you shouldn't be expecting to see them lose 16-4 most of the time. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped.